In 3.14 Ultimatum League, a lot of reward systems have been improved and made more valuable, but there's one specific area of the game where I really see a lot of potential for profit. Hi guys, Catmaster here, and today with another video. I had a little bit of downtime, we all had a little bit of downtime because PoE didn't really work. I hope it's resolved now, but I did end up going to sleep after like a 12-hour stream because it was just tiresome to keep up the positivity in chat, and with so many people coming in and raging about the problems that were happening. And the large controversial issue with the streamer priority. So I don't want to address this here again. I talked about it a little bit in the previous video. Check it out if you want to. But now I made a video because I don't think a lot of people are aware of how good the specific farm will be. Today I try one of the reworked rewards of League-specific content because I think this will be a really great way to generate some currency. It's accessible to everyone on a low investment, and a large majority of people is probably unaware or uninterested. I'll try to explain everything about this as good as I can, so that even if you have only played very little of Path of Exile endgame, I hope you can understand some of it. Of course I'm talking about Blighted maps. Blighted maps were really good before, but not many people like them for a number of reasons, but the changes made in 3.14 made them incredibly good. Blighted maps are alternate versions of existing maps that contain a more challenging Blight encounter than what is normally found on maps. You can find them mostly from completing Blight encounters in regular maps, and there are a number of other ways to get them as well. They are Path of Exile's take on tower defense. Blighted maps have all the native monsters removed and are dedicated to the Blight encounter itself. These maps only contain a small area with no enemies and a single fungal growth that spawns dozens of roots. Multiple waves of monsters will spawn from monster portals all across the map. Monsters move along a fixed route towards the purification pump. The player must defend the purification pump for 5 minutes and then defeat all remaining monsters in order to complete the map and grant the rewards. Compared to regular Blight encounters in maps, in Blighted maps, players get extended preparation time and pump durability is increased to 20 up from 10. Blighted maps are available in tiers up to tier 16. Since they are not really on the Atlas of Worlds, Watchstone modifiers and sextants have no effect on Blighted maps. However, Atlas Awakening levels affect the difficulty of the monsters and bosses in them. With oils from Blights and Blighted maps, you can not only anoint amulets and rings, but also Blighted maps. An Anoint is a mod that is applied to the enchant slot, which is separate from implicit and explicit modifiers. Every item can only have one enchant mod, except for Blighted maps, which can have 3. Amulet Anoints grant you any notable from the passive tree, even ones that are hidden and you cannot allocate on the tree itself. There are some really generally good Anoints, but this can be very specific to the build you're playing because it allows you to pick up things you cannot reach on the tree otherwise. Ring Anoints grant you bonuses to the towers you build in Blight encounters. There is a number of good Anoints depending on what towers you like to build here, but since the last time towers have been rebalanced, Scout towers have shown to be a really good strategy, and the Anoints for Scout towers are incredibly budget considering how good they are. Scout towers spawn flying minions which attack enemies with ranged attacks. For Scout tower range, you just need a teal oil and a violet oil. I recommend anointing both of your rings with Scout tower range, but you will need teal oils for the map, and if you don't have that many oils yet, you can go for Scout tower damage, which costs 2 amber oils instead. And here's why I think Blighted maps are so good in 3.14. Just like I said earlier, Blighted maps are a single long Blight encounter with a duration of 5 minutes, and this was just too long for many people, even though you can make summoner builds that theoretically could stand AFK in the middle of a Blighted map and just wait for 5 minutes and then pick up all the loot in the end of it. So they were already good for people playing while working from home, single parents, or anyone who just wants to play on the side and generate currency. The Anoint meta on Blighted maps was usually centered around making chests lucky, because that was the best way to make them more rewarding, with the budget Anoint being 3 teal oils. Now in 3.14, teal oils do no longer grant a lucky Anoint, but instead each teal oil grants Blight monsters and areas spawn 25% faster, encounter duration is 40 seconds shorter, and plus 5% monster pack size. But since you can anoint a Blighted map with not just 1 oil but with 3, this grants Blight monsters and areas spawn 75% faster, and encounter duration is 120 seconds shorter, and of course 15% monster pack size. Bringing down the total time it takes you to do a complete Blighted map from 5 minutes to just 3 minutes. This is amazing. So if you can manage to pick up all the loot and anoint, roll and open the next Blighted map in 2 minutes, that means you can theoretically do them in 5 minutes, and that means you can do 12 of them per hour. Did you hear me say roll? Yes, that's right. Another previous downside of Blighted maps was that they would not be affected by quantity from making the map harder by rolling it magic or rare. Yes, the mods would apply to the monsters, which are already kinda scary in Blighted maps and can make them super dangerous, but would not affect the large part of the loot, but only what drops from the slain monsters at the pump after you complete the encounter. But the large majority of rewards from Blighted maps come from the chests that spawn in place of the portals on completed Blight lanes, and those would not be affected by the rarity and quantity of the maps. So most people ran Blighted maps white, especially in hardcore, because the risk of dying and or not finishing the encounter would vastly outweigh the gains from the bonus. But as of 3.14, Blighted maps apply the map's item quantity modifier to the Blight chest count at 20% of the total value. So if you roll it to 100% increased item quantity or more, the resulting 20% to Blight chest count would turn 5 chests into 6 chests, if I understand correctly. On top of that, you can corrupt them, much like regular maps, to have a chance of rolling them into an 8 modifier map, or to have them become identified or turned into a random rare map 1 tier higher. Oil chests in corrupted Blighted maps have a chance to drop the new tainted oil, which is needed to apply or change an anoint on a corrupted item, which was previously impossible. I don't know how rare they are, but I assume these will be quite valuable in the first weeks of the league, because people might find really good corrupted amulets without an anoint or with a bad anoint. Also, sometimes people may mass corrupt a number of copies of a specific unique amulet, hoping to get a good corrupt implicit like +1 curse or +1 all maximum resistances, which is obviously a lot cheaper to do if you don't have to apply the anoint you want on every single amulet before you corrupt it, but only to the successfully corrupted one afterwards. So there's real incentive now to rolling your Blighted maps. For the purpose of testing this, and recording footage for this video, I ran a tier 12 Blighted map with triple teal anoint, which I rolled rare and corrupted. This was in permanent hardcore solo self-found on an old character. The rewards are much better in higher ones, like tier 14 plus, but I didn't have any higher ones at hand, and I think that this is fine because it gives you a much better idea of what you can expect from farming these when you're just starting out with low investment in the new league. But keep in mind, the rewards will be way better in higher ones. You will want to build with very good damage for both single target and good clear coverage for this. I recommend summoner builds like golem summoners or skeletons, but area of effect spellcasters are fine. Pure projectile builds often have a limited number of targets they can hit, so they aren't the best for the insane amount of monsters Blighted maps put out on the screen. Oh yeah, you also want a good computer, because the performance can suffer quite a bit, especially if you don't clear the monsters fast enough. I used my level 97 animate weapon and skeleton necromancer from Delirium League, which I will link my POB for in the description down below. I need to make some changes to how I spawn blades to summon with Bladefall, because the trigger craft has been nerfed and only goes off once every 8 seconds now, but other than that, it's a pretty decent and fun build, although I would not recommend animate weapon in Blighted maps, since the monsters do not drop anything during the encounter, so there are no weapon drops to animate other than the ones you spawn yourself. My strategy, once I am in the map, is to first make sure that the portal is not anywhere near the pump, so that I do not run the risk of accidentally zoning out the map and losing time equivalent to 2 load screens while getting back. Other builds might be able to come back from that, but this build loses all its temporary animate weapon and skeleton minions and takes way too long to resummon them all without a mana flask swap and a self-cast Bladefall, which is ideally 3-linked. I make sure that I summon all my minions and all my reservations are up before I start the encounter. I then go and start the encounter and try to figure out the best spots to put down my first towers. On the position that is most central to other tower positions nearby, I put down an upgrade tower which buffs other towers in its area. This is very random and heavily RNG dependent, especially on indoor blighted maps. Tower position spawn can be either very good or very bad for you. I then put down 2 minion towers and upgrade them all the way to scout towers because those are what I anointed bonuses for on my rings. The anoints do not affect the base minion towers, only the final upgraded form, which is why we have to rush them. Also, the scouts are the only tower minions that have range attacks and therefore have superior clear. During the map, I try to stay on the move and help out wherever I'm afraid a large group of monsters or a boss is coming through towards the pump. There are many dangerous monster types that can spawn from Blight encounter portals, so you definitely don't want to stand still, and the number of bosses is also super dangerous and you should be at least remotely aware of what they can do. If you're not familiar with Blight, I recommend starting to learn the encounters in white maps with cheaper anoints and only go into red blighted maps when you are sure you can complete them, because even if they are fairly low investment, it somehow feels really bad to lose the encounter and to not get any rewards. I actually lost the first one I tried during this recording because I forgot how to play the build and didn't summon my minions beforehand. I thought I could do it while the encounter starts and I wait for monsters to spawn, but I really underestimated how much faster they would spawn, with the Blight monsters in areas spawn 75% faster and encounter duration is 120 seconds shorter modifiers. So again, if you're not sure whether you can do it, just try a lower map first, or don't use the 3 teal oils, but a combination of 1 or 2 teal and another oil, ideally azure or violet for lucky or additional chests. And here's where something completely unexpected happened, and this is why it took so long making this video. Blighted maps are actually bugged at this moment, and I had to write a bug report first. Some lanes got completely stuck or frozen, and the monsters, while displayed on the minimap, were undamageable, and I could not complete the lanes that they spawned from. This persisted even minutes after everything else had stopped spawning and was killed, and after I portaled in and out of the map. It's just broken, and as a result I was not able to complete the blighted map encounter at all and got no loot from the monsters themselves. And the broken lanes that I couldn't complete, of course, also didn't spawn reward chests. So if you're looking to do this, make sure you wait until it's fixed, or just be aware that this can happen. I did not test more than this one map yet, but I'm not the only one this happened to, because when I looked to post my screenshots in the bug report forum, I actually found a thread of this exact problem being reported already. Despite all that, I think the drops, even filtered, are really fine for a 3-minute tier 12 blighted map. I got 22 sepia, 15 amber, 8 verdant, 1 teal, 2 azure, 4 indigo, 4 violet, and 1 black oil. I got some quality gems, some fossils, one of which is a perfect fossil. I got a Blightwell unique talisman, which is super strong now that you can actually apply annoyance to corrupted amulets with the new tainted oils, a time clasp, and an obliteration wand. I got a nice mix of currency, which amounts to about 20C, probably a bit more, but I can't be bothered to look up trade conversions, and I don't play trade leagues in the game, so you go ahead and figure out how much that is in trade wealth. I also got a life sprig and a pair of wanderlusts, which if you got that in League, you could hand those to your friend who's only starting the League today. All in all, I think that is really good. Again, if you prepare a bunch of these maps and a good loot filter, you can probably loot the map and open the next one in about 2 minutes, allowing you to farm one of these every 5 minutes and do 12 maps per hour. If you omit everything but the raw currency, and we pretend this is like 20 chaos, that's already 240 chaos per hour. I mean, it's probably more like 400, and that's really on the low end of the expectation because you can get higher oils like golden and silver and currencies like exalted orbs or divine orbs quite frequently, especially if you're farming high red blighted maps. Mark my words, guys and gals and non-binary pals, this is going to be big once the bug with the frozen monsters is fixed. I hope I could inspire you to have some fun while farming blighted maps in Path of Exile. And if I did, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more content like this. If there's any questions or remarks at all, make sure to leave them in the comments down below, or you can visit me on my stream on twitch.tv/capmasterop or my Discord, links are in the description down below. As always, a very special thank you to my supporters on Patreon. I appreciate you very much. Have a great day and I'll see you in the next video.